All right, last step. As far as setting up AWS, let's come in and pick a domain because for each server that we have, we'll be able to, set up HTTPS, set up a domain, and then as many subdomains as we like. So let's go ahead and get started. So blah, 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 just find something and then see if it's available. And if it is, then buy it. And then it will take a little bit of time for it to actually show up into your account. This is a fee that will be charged now, so that's why you'll need billing set up. And for .com, it's going to be 13 bucks. For a and there's other different domains and they'd have various prices. So if you're looking for like an IO, I think that those are in the 70s. They're a bit more expensive, 71, but yeah, you can just take a look and see if you find something that you like. Come in and hit select and then check out. It will eventually be in your account. And what will happen then is once you start a server, it will show up in this little panel here. So whenever you actually get into the site, come in here, click on just create an SSH key, and then create a security group. You don't have to really know much about what this is yet. But for the security groups, if you know what they are, 422.80 and 443 are open to the world behind Nginx, and then we'll be able to manage that configuration to be able to access backend applications. So create those two things, and then select the key name security group that you just created. Click on RBox, and if you need to, you can click on refresh if it's not showing up quite yet. Storage, and then server size. So let's do a T2 large, and then click on start server. I'm going to turn this other one off since I created it a little bit earlier. Here, if once the server is actually running, you can stop it, reboot it, or terminate it. So this one I'm going to terminate, and you can also change the size if you would like. All right, so let's grab the server we just created right here, and let's see if we can hop in and get access to it. Okay, so here's a bug that I need to figure out and fix. We should be seeing a little text editor right there. So I'm going to restart and try and get it to show up. It might take one or two restarts. I need to have an idea as to what's going on, but I need to go in there and actually fix it, because it doesn't help if you can't actually use it, right? Okay. So go and what we'll do here is pick one of the domains that I've purchased before. So let's do www.indexr.org, and then we'll hit connect. And what's going to happen is it's going, IndexR is going to connect to that server, set up HTTPS, and get Nginx all, kind of working in the back and forth. And hopefully here in a second, we'll go ahead and see that little configuration manager and talk more about what it is that we're actually doing. So for now, create your SSH key, create a security group, go into AWS, set up a new domain, and then come in here, get it started, get it launched, and then see if you can go ahead and get this up and running. If you don't want to purchase a domain, you can still access the server, but I highly recommend that you do it through this process, because there's a lot of good features that you'll be able to get, like like eventually you could set up payments between HTTPS, and we to be able to use Nginx, which you'll be seeing here soon, and that's going to need HTTPS as well. So, but if you do want to access the server here, what you need to do is, you could open up this link, but you actually need to go back to security here and then import the security group that you just created. And what you want to do is take your IP address. You can click on this. This is your current IP address wherever you're located, and you're going to notice this number is going to change a lot. But you can come into the one that you just created, type in 8787, oops, then IP/32, click on invoke, and then you will be able to then access the server in the backend through HTTPS. So, sorry, through HTTP. Now, we just set this up, but what we want to do next is go ahead and click on refresh again, and you'll notice now we actually have our server up and running. And what we'll do here is just verify. So, perfect. So we do have our Shiny app up and running. We have our server behind our domain. And what we can do here is you'll see our studio, we can't access it yet. Glances, we can't access it yet. And then VS Code, we can't access it yet. So what we'll do next is use that IP address in order to update the Nginx configuration in order to actually be able to manage that server's incoming traffic. And I'm going to refresh this again. Usually this little issue tends to happen whenever I am whenever I refresh the application, and I think it has to do with how some of the CSS and JavaScript is not quite loading how it should be. So let's come back and give it a look here and see if we can get into it now. Oh my goodness. So that's obviously something I'm going to have to fix immediately, or near immediately. So let's see here. Let's get through servers. Just see if it's in here. Okay, perfect. So let's go to the server. Okay, now here's our Nginx configuration. Let's click on Pool. And what we're going to do here is we're going to scroll down. We've copied this. All you have to do is click it and scroll down, and we're going to update this file. Currently, the default of this is being used as Vim as the default. If you don't want to use Vim, then you can click on that, and it's still Vim. So I'll update that as well. But what you would actually do here in this case, so Vim is, it's used for editing text. If you type Shift A, that will put you at the end of the line. I'm going to hit Tab here, allow V, and then a colon at the end. So Shift A will get you typing, then allow that IP address. So this is my computer and my house. That's what we're saying, right? We are going to allow anyone coming in on the the main site here. Anyone can come in and see this application. However, if you want to access our studio, if you want to access Glances, and if you want to access VS Code, then you'll need to whitelist the IP address. And you can see how, you can just quickly log in here and take your IP. If you go to the coffee shop and you need to access your server, just open this up, click on the IP address, update your Nginx configuration, and then boom, you're good to go. We'll click on update, and we'll see here now we can get into our studio. Get into Glances, which is helpful for monitoring your server. if you click in here and then hit the number 1, you can see the individual cores. And then VS Code is right here. So what we could do here is type in your underscore password, all lowercase, and then hit submit. We'll talk about how to update this password later. So that, that would get us into VS Code on this remote server. We've gotten into glances, but then let's go into RStudio here. All right, so what we can do now is type in our box and password. And no one else can access this server unless they're on your computer, wherever you're at. But you'll notice if you go somewhere else, right? If you go to like the coffee shop, you take your computer over there, you're not going to be able to access this. You'll need to hop in and update your configuration. So right now we're just waiting on RStudio to load, and then we'll change the password. And then after that, we'll go ahead and get started on the next step, which will be to start looking at the application on RStudio, within RStudio. So just give it a minute. So, okay. And now we're in our server. So if you want to change the password, go to the terminal. I'll wait for it to load. It's a little bit slow the first time around, but it's not always going to be this slow. We'll click on yes, we'd like to update. And what we'll do here, let's see here. Kind of curious, I don't see. There we go. Okay, so sudo passwd and enter. And we'll type in password. But now we can change the password. So type in whatever you want it to be. Then now you're good to go. And remember that password for the next time that you log in. Yeah, so next we'll hop into the app. But for now, I think that's good. So thanks for listening.